You know, some people, they ask me, why do you always bake things with banana and chocolate? Why do you love banana and chocolate so much? Do you ask the ocean why it loves the moon so much? You just know. It's my goal to have as many vehicles as possible for banana and chocolate. So let's go make cookies. Hi, welcome to Easy Gluten-Free and me. Today we are going to make double chocolate banana cookies. When I tell you how airy and fluffy these cookies are, it's partly because they are gluten-free. They're not going to be the most structurally sound, but who cares if they taste amazing. The addition of the banana is seriously, it's a flavor combination that you may have not really experienced. It's very different from like a banana muffin. You melt in chocolate into it, and it's truly amazing. This recipe, bake time is 8 to 9 minutes, and you will preheat your oven at 400 degrees. So the ingredients that you will need are half a cup of chocolate chips to melt, half a cup of sugar, 6 tablespoons of butter, 1 ripe banana, and you want this banana to be ripe. You want it to look like it got ran over in the road. That is what you want. You will also need 1 egg, 1 1/4 cup of flour. With gluten-free flour, you will want it to be a little bit extra. And then you also need baking powder, baking soda, and salt, and then extra chocolate chips for fun. Checking my lovely recipe book, because I don't remember this. So, Step 1 is you're going to melt the chocolate first, and this chocolate that you're melting you're going to mix into the recipe itself. So you're going to melt half a cup of chocolate. So this can be, I'm going to use milk chocolate, and later on, as you can see, we're going to add in some dark chocolate later, but that's for fun. So I'm just going to get just regular milk chocolate morsels. I want half a cup. So here we have our half cup of chocolate together. So I'm going to melt this first. So you want to make sure it is a microwave safe bowl. And then we're going to microwave the chocolate. So make sure when you are melting chocolate in the microwave, you are very careful. We're going to start with 30 seconds. Okay, so let's pop one in here. Okay, so the thing about melted chocolate is you gotta mix it after you're done, and then you see, oh, it's actually pretty melted. The residual heat from the microwave will just generally melt everything together as long as you just give it a stir. So I'm gonna stir this just to make sure that it is actually melted, and then if I think I might put it in for just a few more seconds. Chocolate can burn very easily in the microwave, so it's very important that you take it in small increments. So since not all of this is fully melting, I'm just gonna pop it in for 5 more seconds. Now we're gonna give it another stir. There we go, and it's much more melted. Perfect! So now that our chocolate is melted, I'm gonna leave this to the side. I'm going to mash up the banana. Just do this first, and then we're gonna get together the rest of the ingredients, and then we're gonna start mixing. It's very ripe, so it is gonna be a bit not appealing looking, but it's gonna taste great. And then crush it. This is generally how you want to do it. You want it to get it looking all mashed like baby food, so that way it's going to incorporate really well with the rest of the ingredients. So this recipe calls for 6 tablespoons of butter cold. Now, along with being allergic to wheat, in my old age, I also developed lactose intolerant. So any recipe that I make will also be dairy-free. Just fun facts. I'm using Earth Balance butter. I find it's a pretty good substitute. You can use any butter, dairy substitute that you like. I really like Earth Balance. I think that's what it's called. It's plant-based. It's butter. Hi, change of scenery. So now we're going to add in the melted chocolate into our bowl. So typically, it's best to use a silicone or rubber spatula just so you can make sure you can actually scrape it in. gonna add that in, and melting in this chocolate into the cookie. Because typically if you don't do this, it's pretty much just going to be a chocolate chip cookie with banana flavor, but this gives it a really nice added chocolate flavor. Honestly, this is probably just a good trick to do with any cookie, but it really helps to incorporate it nicely, and it also, I think, really helps with the texture of the cookie as well. I'm not a baker scientist, but that is just my personal belief. Alright, so we're going to need 1/2 cup of sugar. Go. Alright, so I'm going to add that. So we need 1/2 cup of sugar ready. So now that our chocolate is added in, we're now going to add in the mashed banana. Just gonna scoop that in there. It looks delicious. Add in our 1/2 cup of sugar. And then our egg. And you get to watch how bad I am at this.
That was perfect.
It honestly wasn't. So now we're going to mix this together for 3 minutes on medium. Don't forget your butter. You also need to add in butter in this phase. As I said before, I'm not a professional. I'm just trying. But, so it's been about 2 minutes, and as you can see already, the mixture has gotten, it's a nice light chocolate color. That's from the banana. And since we've been mixing it like this, when you mix together sugar and eggs, it does get fluffy. Well, I'm going to just continue mixing this and hope for the best. Our wet ingredients, so I'm gonna call it, our wet ingredients are now mixed together. Typically your wet ingredients include your butter, sugar, egg, things like that. And as we can see, it has a really nice airy texture. That's partly from the banana, which is gonna make it super fluffy, and that's also from the egg and the sugar when you mix together, and the butter. When you mix together butter and sugar and eggs, it's gonna get really fluffy. So the longer that you mix it, the fluffier it'll be, which is what I really like about these cookies. So the next step is to prepare the dry ingredients, which is our flour and our baking soda and baking powder. I have the flour ready, so I use just Bob's Red Mill gluten-free flour, all-purpose flour. It's typically the go-to flour to use. It's got all the dancing gum and everything that you need to make it actually flour. But because this is a gluten-free recipe, it's not going to be the most structurally sound, so I added just a little bit more flour. The recipe calls for 1 cup and 1/4, but adding a little bit always helps. Or you can also try cornstarch, add in like a tablespoon of cornstarch, or if you have patience, you can stick the dough in the fridge for a bit, but we'll talk about it. So, got that together. So I'm gonna get 1 teaspoon of baking powder. Baking powder is what helps cookies rise. And again, Bob's Red Mill, they have gluten-free. This is a tablespoon. That would be way too much. 1 teaspoon. Okay, and then you want to make sure that you just level it off. I'm gonna plop that in there. And then we're going to get 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda. I can't remember exactly what baking soda does, but it works together to make cookies, and that's all I need to know. We're also going to add in 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Salt, when you add it to chocolate ingredients, helps to bring out that chocolate flavor. So you just want to add in a little bit. This is the salt that we have. He's very cute. What's his name?
He doesn't have a name.
He doesn't have a name?
No, oh my god, I was so busy just in life.
Okay, well, he needs a name. Maybe Timmy. And you're just gonna add in a little bit. That was maybe too much. And now it's ready to be whisked together. When you're adding in dry ingredients to wet, it's a good idea just to do it slowly so you make sure everything gets nice and incorporated and that you don't get a giant cloud around you. That wouldn't be good. So I'm just gonna add in a little bit starch, there we go. And then just go for it. Now that's kind of mixed, so we're going to scrape down the edges just to make sure we're not leaving anything behind. Then we're gonna add in more dry. As we see, now that we're adding in the flour and everything, it's starting to get much thicker, which is nice. It's kind of what you want out of a cookie. See this ridge around? This is why we want to make sure that we're scooping down everything. We don't want to miss out on any of that flour, especially because this is gluten-free. We need as much as we can get. You always check at the bottom as well. Give a nice little scoop. We want to make sure we're not scooping too much, mixing too much, because you don't want to over-mix cookies. Although these honestly are so light and airy, it probably doesn't matter that much. This recipe really just calls to add in chocolate chips, but I thought it'd be really fun to add in some dark chocolate as little fun extras. And in cookie recipes, you know, the really fancy ones, they're always like, chop up some chocolate and then add it in. And I'm like, I don't have time for that. But we have some nice Trader Joe's dark chocolate, and I've really been on a dark chocolate kick recently. So I figured just adding a few bits of dark chocolate here and there with the banana and the milk chocolate are gonna be absolutely delicious. It's gonna be big hunks, oh my goodness.
Ain't no one got too mad about bigger chunks of chocolate.
Oh no. See, with chocolate, we want it thick with 4 C's. Let's taste some of it. Let's see. We gotta make sure it's not poisoned.
Now I'll find out in 12 hours if it is.
Now we're ready to add in the chocolate chips, and this to your heart's content. Just eye it out. I can give you a measurement, but you're just gonna do what you wanna do. So, I'm gonna add in some nice chocolate chips. And now we're going to also add in some of the dark chocolate that we added. Let's kind of take it in pieces though. Oh my god, this is gonna be so good. I'm so excited. Alright, and then we can just use our spatula to fold it in. So if you ever watched Rosanna Pansino, she talks about, you know, you gotta fold it in. So you just give it a little twist and turn. This is so you can make sure you're getting nice and incorporated. And it gives you a much better idea of how much chocolate chips you've really added in together. So I can see, I can add in a lot more. So I am. Let's just add it all in. Let's go crazy.
Go for it.
And then we're gonna get some more milk chocolate. Now we're ready to start putting these on our trays. 2 things. I normally don't spray down the trays. We have some nice kind of non-stick pans, so they're probably gonna be fine. But if you'd like to use parchment paper or any type of spray, that's totally fine. It'll work. Also, again, as you can see, this is our dough. It's not very thick, I would say, in the fact that, you know, with typical cookie dough, it's gonna stick together more. This is going to be a bit more soupy, I guess. So it's gonna spread a lot on the pan, so you need to be aware of that as you're putting it on there, because they're gonna spread and we're gonna get really big cookies. But whoever said that was a problem? I'm gonna aim to get about 12 large cookies, and when I say large, I mean like large. That's what we're gonna do it. But again, if you kind of scoop it out in little smaller portions, they'll be smaller and you can get more out of it. But we're just gonna use our nice little scoop. This is how I'm gonna measure it. It's very consistent, scientific. And then we're just gonna plop it on our pan. And then have a spoon just to scrape it out. And then you can just try to make it as uniform as you want. Oh, this is gonna be a huge cookie. Oh my gosh, okay. Yeah, maybe a bit less, Baking is trial and error. That's really what it is. We're gonna see how it goes. And sometimes you're just gonna throw caution to the wind and do what your heart is telling you to do. Like I said before, no one tells the moon how to react to the ocean, and no one tells the ocean to not follow its tides based on the moon's gravitational pull.
And no one tells Taylor how big her cookies should be.
Exactly. It's just a scientific fact. See, these will spread. They're very fluffy and they are going to spread. So we may have a bit of a cookie cake situation. We're gonna see what happens. But I'm gonna have to put these in the oven. Again, pro tip for your oven. You want your trays to be towards the top, and since I'm using 2 trays, I'm going to rotate them halfway through. These total bake time are going to be 8 to 9 minutes, so at 4 minutes, I'm going to switch them. And then we're going to see how they are after 4 more minutes, and they should be ready. Okay? Now it's time to switch them, so let's check and see how they're looking, see how much they spread. Yep. As you can see, they've already started to spread, but it's not that bad, honestly. So I'm just gonna go ahead, be very careful. Ah! I just burned myself. Be very careful. There we go. All right, and leave that for 4 more minutes. And this is why you wear oven mitts. I'm prepared now. So it's been 8 minutes. So we're gonna check on them. Oh my God. Look at that, look at that. They look amazing. They're definitely a lot thicker than I last made them. I did add in a little bit more flour than usual. So now we're just gonna make sure I check them to make sure that they are cooked all the way through. So you can just get a fork and just cook. And they need to cook a lot longer. Okay, so I'll pop them back in. Based on that, I'm going to say 3 more minutes. See how they're doing. Alright, it's been 3 minutes, so I'm just gonna check on them again. We wanna make sure, by now they should be okay. We also make sure that the bottom doesn't get too toasted. Good, these are very fluffy. Okay, so I'm just gonna check them again. That's fine. We gotta check the chip. You always need to be careful of that. I think they are done though. You can smell the banana. Doesn't it kind of smell like banana bread a little bit? Yes.
It does.
They're nodding.
Sorry.
Yeah, so that big boy, he's okay. Sometimes the cookies, they can be a little bit looking like they're almost a little underdone, but if you leave them in the pan just for a few seconds, it will just continue to cook a little bit. So now we want to make sure that we take them off of the heat area, so that way, because the bottoms of these are going to be just a little toasty, just a little bit. It's going to be good because these aren't the most structurally sound cookie. So as we can see, they're not the most structurally sound, but they are cooked all the way through. So that's what you want, really. I'm gonna steal a little bit. Should I have a preemptive taste test?
Absolutely.
Okay. Now I'm getting the banana. I haven't had these in months. So the banana is a very subtle taste. And then you get the chocolate. The chocolate that you melt in really isn't overwhelming. So it's a nice layer of like a nice kind of almost like a chocolate chip cookie. And then you get, bam, banana. And then, oh, there's chocolate. It's wonderful. They're not the most structurally sound, so you have to be very gentle with them. This spatula is amazing. Where did you get it? I'm so afraid. This is wonderful. It's a nice little shovel. Just shovel out the cookies into my mouth. And let's take a look. Alright, yeah, so the bottom's gonna be a little toasted, just a little bit. But that really, like I said, you kind of want that to keep it held together, because nothing's really keeping these babies together besides the love of sugar and chocolate and banana. The dark chocolate is setting, so I couldn't wait for you guys. I had a big chunk of the dark chocolate, which is very melted. So these cookies do that, you know, that thing. So as we can see, they're nice and fluffy. The texture, it's very, I would describe it as aerated, if that makes sense. It's very fluffy. And the combination of the banana, it hits in like, is this banana bread? No, it's a bit more dense like a cookie. And then you get the chocolate, you go, wait, how much chocolate's in this? And then you get the nice chunks of dark chocolate, which I definitely recommend to add in. And it's just a wonderful 1, 2, 3, 4, pow, flavor combination of chocolate and banana. So as you can see, even though I had a few little missteps here and there, it's a very easy recipe. It takes 10 minutes to bake in the oven. You you get wonderfully huge, fluffy, beautiful cookies that will just taste amazing, and it's gluten-free. Really, gluten-free recipes don't have to be difficult to make. You can just use all-purpose gluten-free flour, and there you go. So don't be afraid to try. So please, if you try these cookies, let me know, tag me. You can find me on my blog at EasyGF and me. Same on all the socials. Give it a try and tag me if you do make it. I really want to see your experience making gluten-free recipes.
Noodles.
Oh. I have no bants today. What can I banter about?
What's pissing you off lately?
Oh, well, let me tell you. So you even start about eggs. They come from chickens. And you know how chickens get eggs? They cock-a-doodle-doo. That is what they do.
You know how chicken gets eggs?
You know what I mean. Let's cut.